We do that so these greedy politicians can buy votes. That's what they do with board spending, and we have to put a stop to it, and we only do that, sadly, like everything else, by winning elections. Ma'am?
What is your position if a bill is brought up in front of you to audit the Federal Reserve?
She asked what my position is to audit the Federal Reserve if that bill is brought up before me. Yes, we must.
May I ask one more?
Yes, ma'am.
What is your position on term limits?
She asked about term limits. I would support term limits. I would sponsor term limits, but I've got a lot to say about this. It's not the end-all be-all we think it is, for one. For two, we're talking a constitutional amendment. That's 2/3 of the House and Senate. That's 2/3 of the most corrupt, power-hungry, greedy people in the history of the world voting themselves into retirement. And then 3/4 of the states. I think we could get 3/4 of the states. Could we get the House? I don't know. And also, let's not lose sight of the fact that Barney Frank is not going to get term limited and get replaced by Ronald Reagan. It's not going to happen. He's going to get replaced by the next corrupt liberal that has corruptly worked their way up through the system and walks into Congress with almost all the same baggage that Barney left Congress with. That's the problem. Could it help? Yes, that's why I would support it. But the only term limit that matters is the ballot box right now. The American people, the Founding Fathers already put it in. Every 2 years, we can send home the entire United States House of Representatives if we care enough to do so. And if we do, we're going to have our country back in November. And if we don't, then we don't have the right to complain. Because we are blessed by God to live in a country that we have the government we deserve here. We deserve this government.
Yes.
Maybe we didn't. There's probably not a lot of Obama and Giffords voters in this room, maybe a couple. But how much did you do to make sure they didn't get elected? I didn't do near enough. Not near enough, and I'll never be on the wrong side of that again. It's our job to be activists now. The sad thing is, conservatives are the majority heavily in this country. It is a 70-30 country, and the polls show that. Ask your friends. Should government be big or small? Should spending be high or low? Taxation, national security. They'll answer conservatively down the line, yet radical liberals like Gabrielle Giffords have power right now. Why? Because they're activists. Because they drag their friends to the polls, they write checks, they put on bumper stickers, they wear t-shirts. While you're at work, they're campaigning. That's what they do. And I know that's a disadvantage to conservatives, you're at work, but... Sir?
In order to make some changes, what would your opinion be about the concept of having Congress be subject to everything that we are, such as Social Security and private health care plans and all those things?
He asked about Congress being subject to everything the American people are. Well, what a novel concept that would be. James Madison wrote about that extensively, wrote about it in the Federalist Papers, how important it was. It was the only thing that would finally keep this government in check, is that they live under the laws that they pass. And they don't. They tried to pass an amendment, the Republicans did, that would make them live under Obamacare. Didn't even get out of committee. They don't, as you said, Social Security. Gabrielle Giffords runs ads that I'm going to steal someone's Social Security, yet she, as a member of Congress, has the option to pay into a thrift savings program. What's good enough for the goose is good enough for the gander. She talks about Medicare now. About that Jesse Kelly wants to take away Medicare. It's another lie. It's the same plan as Social Security. Gabrielle Giffords voted to cut $500 billion from Medicare and $200 billion from Medicare Advantage. They don't live under any of the laws that they passed. I think that they should, but I'll also say this, I don't think it's a solvable problem other than winning elections with the right politicians. Because the amendments like that they tried to get through, they can get through if you win enough elections. Passing, say, a law or a constitutional amendment that would force them to live under it. Look, our Constitution now doesn't protect them from it. They should live under it now. New laws are not what we need. We need politicians who will live under the existing laws. They violate the law on everything. There's no law they won't violate. So should they? Yes. Is that the check we need on them? Yes. We got to win a lot of elections first. Sir?
I'm a lifelong Republican. I voted for you. I'm looking forward to you winning.
Thank you, sir.
And this question is really for after you do win. One of the reasons we're in such a problem right now is because the Republicans did such a miserable job when we had the majority.
Amen.
And I'm not convinced that we have the right leadership. I mean, just having a landslide victory is not going to be enough. We need good leaders, and we need organization of the Republican Party. If you go to the Republican Party website, I couldn't find the word Constitution there anywhere on the national website. And frankly, it's embarrassing to me. So I don't know what you can say to answer, but how do you view the leadership? And I'm not asking for you to trash Michael Steele or anybody
No,
else.
I understand.
But what can we do to make sure we have good leadership once we get the majority?
I'll tell you this, he asked what we can do to make sure we have the right leadership in the Republican Party once we have the majority. The Republicans had all this control before, House, Senate, presidency, screwed it up, spent too much money, they don't talk about the Constitution enough, these types of things. We just did it. We did it in the primaries. That's when we get to have the war of ideas amongst the Republican Party. And I'll tell you that across this country, good, strong people won these primaries. They did. People who are going to be principled, people who realize the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. The right people won it. And you ask about leadership and where are the leaders, and we all look around for that right now. We all look around, who's going to run for president? Who's going to lead us in Congress? I'll tell you this, there really are some good people there. And you know, it's been a pleasant surprise running for Congress, it really has. Going back and forth to DC quite a few times, because you watch enough of the news, you're pretty sure they're all scum. They're not. There are some really, really sound, solid people there. And the beauty of leadership is you only need one or two. That's why they call them leaders. So we have enough. The people are there and the reinforcements are coming. To answer your question, Republicans had it all before and screwed it up. You're right. They did. They did, and we better be responsible, because you're right, November 2nd means nothing if we're going to be the party of spends less than the Democrats. That's not good enough anymore. We are at the edge of fiscal failure in this country. We need to radically about face and start heading the other way, or the bottom line is that that kid of mine that was born a week ago is not going to live in the same America that we have, and that is the truth. That is the truth. We have been spoiled by a standard of living in this country brought to us by the free market, and the further we get away from that free market, the lower that standard of living is going to go. So, Jim?
Talk to us a little bit about the young guns, and specifically about Paul Ryan and some of the other people who are coming up with answers and what their plans are, Jesse.
He asked about the Young Guns. The Young Guns is for those of you who haven't heard of it, it's the NRCC, the National Republican Congressional Committee. They're a group, they're run by congressmen, they exist, the Democrats have one too, exactly the same. They exist only to keep Republicans elected and to get new Republicans elected. A faction of the NRCC, what they've started is this Young Guns program, started by Paul Ryan, Kevin McCarthy, Eric Cantor, the other Republicans in the House. It's basically just a program to vet candidates coming in and help candidates coming in win elections. We're part of the program. They like what we've done here. Basically what they do is they come in, especially after you win a primary, it's supposed to be only after you win a primary, and they analyze things, how many volunteers do you have, how much money have you raised, how many email contacts do you have. They help you, if you want it, put the structure in place to win elections. But as far as Paul Ryan's plan, America's Roadmap is what it's called, you already know that. Look it up online. It is fantastic. There's a lot of great things in it, a lot of really smart things in it. He talks about the reforms we can do for Social Security, for Medicare, to protect people yet get our country back on a road to solvency. The tax structure is brilliant. They have these great ideas for our new tax structure to move away from this corporate tax rate to a business consumption tax, which can help invite business back to the country. That's what they're doing with these types of things, and they're doing great things. It's good right now. There are a lot of really fresh, young, new ideas right now floating around the Republican Party. This is not going to be the grand old party, the party of the one that disappointed us. This can be the grand new party. New ideas, fresh ideas, ideas that work for the American people. Sir?
Jesse, you know, I'm a conservative.
Yes, sir.
I want conservatives to win.
Oh, God love you for that.
And I'm disappointed with rhinos.
Yes, sir.
And I'm skeptical, and I'm disappointed with people who say one thing and then they're seduced by Washington and become something else. And I go, I didn't vote for that. How are you going to keep your conservative values once you're in Washington.
Well,